Welcome back, folks, to yet another episode of the Three Man Weave College Basketball Show presented by SportsBookReview.com. It's Friday. Shouts to Rebecca Black, excuse me. I forget who actually sings that song. I am in shambles this morning, emotionally, physically. As Big Sean once told us so eloquently, last night we took an L, but tonight we bounced back.
Hey.
I was going to go to some takeaways, but I feel like the takeaways have been just replaced with a venting, whining, groaning session. As Jim so astutely pointed out on the Twitter tweets, 16-4 were the SBR picks in the first half. Yeah. Those came crashing back down to 8-12 overall. Our first half full game split warning was prophetic. Jim, I'll go to you first. Just continue to pile on the wine fest here.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. The fact that we had, they all looked great and then massive collapses. I think Kai's going to talk about Northwestern, which seems like, the worst half of basketball yesterday. But the Murray State final 4 minutes was just disgusting. Yeah. I mean, it was just hand Eastern Illinois the ball, lay up the other way, 4 straight possessions. I don't know what to say. These guys got to know that the games are 40 minutes long because they're not playing all 40 at this point.
No, they're not.
Jim, I am going to talk about Northwestern. Their historic second half collapse. They were up 15 in the first half. And here are some stats about the second half collected by our good friend, Barstow Reeks. They made 2 field goals in the second half. The 2 field goals were made by the same player. Every single other player went over from the field. Northwestern came into the day shooting 47% from the field. They were 2 for 24 in the second half. That's 8%. The odds of a 47% team making just 2 field goals is somewhere around 19,400 to 1. Tough,
low
stuff for Northwestern, Matthew.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of zeros after the decimal point there from a probability. Yeah, this is just tough. Hey, we're gonna respond as we always have. So, big weekend staring us down in the face here, fellas. Tonight's rundown, we're going to talk about a few games off the jump here that are black sheep relative to their slate counterparts. We have, I believe, 30 plus back-to-back first legs tonight. We talked about how college basketball is basically a funhouse this season with the COVID schedule disruptions. So pretty much every game on the slate tonight will have a follow-up tomorrow. So we'll get to a lot of those in the chat mob inquiries, but that context is key for every game we discuss tonight. Save a few. But first, SBRodds.com. Line shopping is key. Though it did not matter yesterday, it will matter in the long run. So please continue to find and shop around where you can. And yes, as Jim and Kyle are so astutely pointing to, SBRpicks.com/NCAAB, expert analysis, picks, breakdowns. It's all there. There's usually winners, except when there's not, like yesterday. So let's get right into this sucker. The lone Big Ten showdown tonight. We have Purdue headed to Michigan State. Yes, we meet again, old friends. Michigan State and Purdue. I have lit many Benjamins on you this season. We've talked about how we shouldn't fully buy into the Sparty bounce back just quite yet. Cautioning that the Nebraska game was maybe a good matchup. They caught Rutgers when Rutgers was setting records for historically bad free throw shooting. However, that is 2 covers in a row, Jim, for the Spartans. Do we think this is the start of an upswing, a classic Izzo surge, or are you putting an asterisk next to those last 2 games?
I believe it's only 1 cover in a row. You double check me on that, but I don't think they got there against
Nebraska.
I thought
they against Nebraska. Okay, that's what the
I think Nebraska came in the back door late.
Okay.
I leaned Michigan State at the opener here. Got bet up a little bit. I wouldn't have taken it past -4, so at 4.5 or wherever it's right now, I can't really recommend it. But I've bet on Purdue a bunch this year. They've let me down. It's a team that competes for a while and collapses in the last 5 minutes. So hey, what a great theme for this particular episode of the day. I was actually kind of impressed with Michigan State's big men against Rutgers. They held up fairly well inside. They got some blocked shots in there. It's not going to be any one standout star, but they had some solid bodies make plays. And the A.J. Hoggard at point guard experience, I think, is long-term going to be beneficial for them. Rocket Watts just never panned out there. So I think Michigan State's starting to set up to trend upwards. Maybe not an immediate surge back to where we thought they were after that Duke game, but I probably lean towards them today. Nothing official. What about you, Kai?
Yeah, no, but the market a little bit, Jim. Like you said, game was immediately bet up from the opener. Now 4.5, 5. Kempom and Bart Torvik both have this game at 2. Unfortunately, I think the market has the right side. Sparty, They might have gotten right with that Rutgers game. I kind of think they torched the Boilers. It's Purdue's 3rd straight road game. They're 0-4 on the road this year, straight up and against the spread. Both teams can defend. I don't think points are going to come very easy. We've been course, harping the Big Ten unders has become a meme at this point, but I really do like the under in this game. Pre-show I saw at 143. I think it's still hovering around there. I'd still take it at that price. I'd probably go down to 140 even, and still lean Michigan State even at -4.5, -5. Just a little bit too high for me to take it as an official play, Matt.
I will go under as well. If it's 143, I'd lock that in. Anything above 141 is a play for me. Purdue so far in conference play, they kept Illinois to under 70 possessions a game. They kept Iowa to 65 possessions. So Purdue, for all their flaws defensively and their inconsistency and inability to close out games, we know for a fact they will control the tempo. Matt Painter plays his game pretty much like clockwork. So I think it's a safe bet that Purdue wins the tempo battle. I think the under has some good value here. Famous last words when we discuss Big Ten unders, so I will lock that in. Let's continue. A little A10 bout here. Dayton at Davidson. Guys, remember when Dayton was fun? That was cool.
Oh,
yeah, it was like a decade ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
Losing to Fordham is a cardinal sin in the A10. Kai, are you engaging Operation Fade Dayton right now, or are you looking for a little buyback value?
No, I really wanted to engage, Matt. Again, annoyed with the market here. Again, Ken Pom has this around 3, spreads up to like 7 in favor of Davidson. This one was hit by a hammer. Am I biased, Matt, towards the Fordham defeat? Yes, 100%. Dayton just isn't right now. Without Rodney Chapman in the lineup, they have 8 playable players. Really, only 7 of those guys are competent. Really, only 3 of those guys are high-level players. Right. Dayton just is not really a great team right now. They're a shell of themselves. Davidson's still firing on all cylinders. They whooped Duquesne after a slow start. I think it's a 3-point barrage coming on the heads of Dayton. However, guys, it's going to be a slow game. Dayton does have a shot to cover here. I believe this game will play under 60 possessions, Jim.
Yeah, I'm not taking it at 7. Chris opened this at 4.5, and people were just like, "What? Dayton has no bodies right now. What are you doing?" So yeah, I'm not taking it at 7 because it is going to be slow. It's kind of like why I probably shouldn't have taken Dayton against Fordham, because that game was a crawl. And Dayton without Chapman and also RJ Blakeney, the freshman guard that was supposed to make an impact. It's hard to back Dayton at this point, but it's too high to take Davidson for me.
Yep, just a copy paste of Jim's takes. Never got too high. Maybe if you really want to bet Davidson here and get a fade Dayton play in, maybe first half. We talked about how good first halves were yesterday, so I would maybe encourage that, but not an official play for me. All right, our last game here before we get to the chat mob questions. A MAC showdown. Ohio U visiting Toledo. Toledo. Jim, I got to get your thoughts on this game since you're the official founding member of Toledo Gamblers Anonymous, a very special support group for bettors like myself who just can't resist to fade the Rockets. I almost went back to the well again today. Thankfully, Jason Preston, Ohio U star point guard, is out. That allows me to take my hands off the wheel. Jim, are you going back to the well, or are you going to continue to warn folks about the perils of betting against Toledo?
Don't do it. Why bet against Toledo? They're 10-2 against the number this year. They repeatedly have great late endings to games, as you saw against Kent State. That was crazy. They've been a darling against the spread. No Preston for Ohio. I think I probably lean Toledo, if anything, here without Preston. I also possibly like the under. Ohio's definitely played slower without Preston, with the freshman Sears at point. I think they've kind of been like, all right, let's keep this more to a half court. It's a little likely that we're less sloppy without an experienced ball handler. So at a high number, 147.5, 148, I would lean towards the under. Not going to lock it in, unfortunately. Going to keep the slate kind of small today after we went nuts yesterday. So mostly going to save plays until best bet section. But yeah, lean towards Toledo, lean towards the under here.
Jason Preston's status, Matt, was everything for me. I kind of liked Ohio with him. I like Toledo without him, especially around 3.5 right now. It might be up to 4. My slide might not be updated. But like Jim said, Toledo, one of the best against the spread teams in the country. They came back against Kent State to ruin Matt's day in their last game.
Yes, they did.
And they've been Rockets from deep. Kovalchuk really spreads the floor, plays 4 out, plays 5 guys sometimes that can shoot threes on the court at once. They have an emerging freshman in Rollins. Littleson's shooting 48%. They really have been fireballs. So I do like Toledo at -3.5, guys. I would take it.
No play for me on either side. I just want to quickly hype up the Ohio U supporting cast. This was the most talented recruiting crop last year in the MAC. Jeff Bowles has brought in a really solid crop of kids here. Mark Sears played phenomenally at the point in Preston's absence. So just because Preston's out, don't think there's not other guys who can get it done for the Bobcats. Bowles has some serious firepower here. So I would not fade just based on Preston news. If you still like Toledo, go ahead and take it, but do not, I guess, over-index your take on the anti-Preston thing. So just a word for the wise. Chat mob break time. I did not anoint a chat czar. I hope both of you took the initiative to start jotting down some questions. Do we have any early in the hopper?
Jim's got it.
Jim?
Oh, luckily I do have it, guys. You guys just assuming, but I
looked at Kai. Kai looked a little more ready, I'll be honest. So I tried to dish to him there, but go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Steve Dunn asked about Wright State and Youngstown, the head honcho in the Horizon, Wright State. Taking on Youngstown State, this spread's too high for me, honestly. I actually think I'll lock in Youngstown State at 12.5 or 13. Let me see exactly what we've got right now, 12.5. I will take Youngstown 12.5. I just think they get up for this game. Wright State's maybe a little overvalued after beating Oakland by 40 in a game that kind of raised their KenPom ranking. And Youngstown's healthy now. Darius Quisenberry's out there, and that makes a world of difference. They lost both Cleveland State games without him, but I think they're ready for this one, and they at least battle.
Yeah, I think both games were really close last year. Youngstown has some physicality. They don't have a lot of pure size, but they're just a gritty bunch. Jared Calhoun. I think that they play well as a dog. I agree.
All right, nothing for Kai. Ryan Abramowitz asked about Irvine at UC San Diego. We are going to holster that until the best bet section, so that will get discussed. Fear. Justin Grant asked about Troy and Georgia State. This one's been bet down. Georgia State was a double-digit favorite. It's down to about 9 right now. That's about what I made my number, 9.5. So it seems like I agree mostly with the market, but at the current number, I have no play. Do either of you have a take?
I mean, I think this is one of a few Sunbelt games. Again, first leg of the back-to-backs where I actually liked the underdog. And the underdogs have not seemed to play as well in the opener. So I did like Georgia State. The number's not right anymore, but so trying to kind of reconcile those two, that tug of war.
You like Georgia State or Troy?
I like Georgia State is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, the number went down if you like Georgia State.
Oh, so I actually have buyback value here. Okay, I'm looking at Georgia Southern. Excuse me. I always confuse those two. Yeah, I would probably take Georgia State then at the current number.
Okay. C Boogie asked about Niagara at Ryder. I think we all mostly believe the spread is too high. Kai, agree correctly?
Yeah, I think the spread's ridiculous. But I've also been against Niagara pretty much every game, and I've been on Ryder a lot. They certainly lost basically everybody from last year. Ryder did, but they're not totally helpless. I think Baggett has a couple things up his sleeve. So, yeah, even at 6.5 and 7, it's come down a little bit. I would still take Ryder.
I took Ryder very small because Ryder lost to Fairfield, and that's an alarm bell in my.
Hey, they beat Fairfield too.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm scared of that one. I do think the spread is too high. It's not, Ryder or nothing for me. Larry Gibson asked about Oral Roberts and North Dakota. This is another one where I like the dog, but I'm a little nervous about the first leg. Deshaun Allen Eikens, their second best player last year, actually played 23 minutes off the bench last game, had 13 points. If he starts to actually get healthy and become the guy he was last year, that's a real second weapon for them next to Rebraca. So I would lean towards North Dakota, but nothing big there.
Yeah, small North Dakota for me, Jim. Although Oral Roberts, man, they're a good basketball team. They could really compete in the Summit.
Yeah, they got some firepower. I stayed away just because I was so impressed what they did to a healthier Omaha team last weekend.
All right, 2 more real quick here, and then we will move the rest to the end of the episode. Nick Loya asked about Illinois, Chicago, and Purdue, Fort Wayne. Actually, multiple questions about this one.
Ooh.
Matt, this will be in your best bet section.
Yes, it
will
be.
We're going to hold off on that one. And then Mary Lou, actually, she gave us a twofer, so we'll hit both right now. Or he, I'm sorry, I don't actually know. Hawaii Riverside and Old Dominion versus Florida Atlantic. Kai, why don't you talk about the Big West battle there?
Yeah, guys, I have a small play on Hawaii. I'm not confident in it. Riverside has absolutely looked very good this year. Maybe a little bit of surprise with the coaching change a little bit before preseason. Hawaii, they should be a good basketball team this year. A lot of new pieces, a lot of talent. However, that travel is always pretty brutal coming from the islands to the mainland. Also, I believe this is Hawaii's first D1 game. Yes, so tread lightly if you're on the Rainbow Warriors. I do lean towards them, and I think they will be pretty good in the Big West eventually this season.
Yeah, so Riverside coming out of a COVID shutdown, correct, and then Hawaii had a couple of COVID pauses as well, went largely unreported because they're an island in the Pacific. But so I think that those two dynamics negate each other, and you want to bet the better team. I think the price is right though, so I will probably stay away.
Yeah, it's a stay away from you. You just don't know enough about either team personally at this point. With there's a chance Riverside's missing like 3 guys because of contact tracing. So
right.
Yep, staying away. And then Florida Atlantic, Old Dominion. I lean towards the dog there.
I do
Florida
too.
Atlantic played at James Madison recently, so they've actually been in that kind of DMV area. So maybe not very much for home court value, but nothing big again. I think it's a low scoring grind.
And Dusty May I trust. Big Al guy today. Old Dominion I think is a little overvalued in a lot of the analytic rankings and thus in the betting market. So I'll be on the Owls.
I think spread's a little high, but man, FAU, I don't think they're very good, guys. Even though Dusty May is a good coach.
Okay. I think they're feisty. They're feisty much.
I did disagree with you.
All right, Matt. Why don't we get back to the outline? I'll move the rest of these down towards the bottom of our discussion for later.
Yep, add them to the hopper. It's Conference USA season, folks. We'll hit 2 right now off the top. Louisiana Tech headed to Hilltopper Nation, Western Kentucky, playing host in this one. The Tops, in pretty classic Western Kentucky fashion the last few years, just a roller coaster ride. 2 wild finishes against Charlotte, came out of that 1-1. You just can't trust this team. And there's a reason why I'm looking to maybe the Western Kentucky first half here. I think the opener was a little bit low. But when you have to ask Western Kentucky to cover a large spread and sustain a lead, sort of like LSU, where they kind of just start messing around and they don't keep the foot on the gas. That's my concern here if you want to lay the points, although I think it's the right side. Jim, am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I lean towards Western Kentucky, but yeah, I don't trust that team. And both these teams are coming off games that they absolutely should have won. They each had a point in the game where their win probability was over 94.5%, and both blew it. So you got to think they're both a little angry in this one. Western Kentucky coming back home, but I don't really trust them as a favorite. If they were, they're just better as a feisty dog playing up against better talent. So
yes,
I can't in good conscience recommend this one.
I agree. WKU is a favorite. Sucks. I mean, Charlotte really could have won both those games, just the way Western Kentucky was blowing them in both contests. There's just no excuse for a team to do that with this type of caliber. Louisiana Tech, they had a rough start to the year, but man, they punked Marshall. And as Jim or Matt said, I already forgot, guys. I'm sorry. They probably should have been 2-0 in those games. So they looked very impressive. Their freshman, Kenneth Lofton, not related to Kenny Lofton, the baseball player, has been fantastic. But he does run into Charles Bassey this game, probably the best big man. I would say definitely the best big man he's faced all year. That could be an issue. So I think it is WKU or nothing for me. I liked them at 6. 7 is a bit too high for me.
Yep, 7's too high. 6 where I draw the line. This is a better matchup for Western Kentucky, though, relative to Charlotte. That was a pack line. They make you execute in the half court, make jumpers. Western Kentucky is better when they get out and transition, and Louisiana Tech will allow that. So another point in the Hilltops' favor. Our second Conference USA showdown, FIU at Middle Tennessee. Guys, I'm kind of a fan of this Florida Global team, as I've recently decided to start calling them. They had a few minor injuries early in the year, I guess midway through non-conference play. They have all hands on deck. They have some serious shooting, speed. They play up and down, 40 feet, kind of a 40 minutes of hell type of thing. Middle Tennessee was, it was a box of chocolates to start the year. You just don't know what you're getting first half, second half. Just that level of volatility makes you want to stay away from this one. I lean FIU. Kai, where do you stand here?
I loved FIU as a dog or pick. They're now a 1.5 point favorite. Middle Tennessee hasn't played since December 16th. Like you said, Matt, FIU's been really tough. You want to talk about Dusty May at Florida Atlantic. Let's talk about Jeremy Ballard at FIU.
Yeah,
He's done a fantastic job there. One of the best young coaches in the country. I think Middle Tennessee does match up well from a scheme perspective with the Panthers. They deny the 3. They force turnovers. They rebound well defensively. But Middle Tennessee is atrocious offensively. They're not going to take advantage of FIU's sort of suspect defense. For me, it's FIU or nothing. Probably 1.5 is a little bit too high for me now that FIU is a favorite, Jim.
Yep, I agree with you on the spread takes. I think the over might have some value. Both teams want to run and kind of have what I like to say, the willing dance partner, where both sides are like, yeah, we'll run with you. Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's do this. And Middle Tennessee's defensive numbers are way overvalued right now because opponents are making 21% of their threes. That will not continue. I think that heats up a little bit. So potentially some value on the over in FIU, but nothing official there for a show recommendation.
I also like the over. I think Jim hit it on the head. I will endorse that wholeheartedly. Just a quick note again to reiterate: these Conference USA games back-to-backs. So you're getting the first leg today, second leg tomorrow. Same applies as we transition now to the Sun Belt. Little Rock at Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns playing host in this one. The story with Little Rock is no Noel, no problem. Without Marcus Noel, their star point guard, basically dominated last weekend without him. Didn't skip a beat. The question is, guys, are they better without Marcus Noel? Ewing theory, addition by subtraction. I'll start the conspiracy theories now. I actually listened to an interview with Bob Marlin, and he talked about how he thinks they actually could be better without him because he's so turnover prone. Jim, do you buy any of that nonsense, or do you think, I guess, what do you make of this Little Rock team now, assuming that Noel is out today?
I don't really buy that they're better without him. I watched them early in the season, and he was like their only initiator. They made a ton of threes in the first matchup against Arlington, and then Arlington was missing both David Azor, likely their best player, and then Ilame, their point guard, got hurt during the second one too. So they were really depleted as well. I'm not going to take too much away and say like, oh my gosh, Little Rock's a wagon without him. I lean towards the Cajuns here as a home dog. They've got their own injury issues, but Duguay should be back. I'm just confused by Little Rock, so I feel like I should stay away right now.
I am too.
They make no sense, Jim. And Darrell Walker, Little Rock's coach, is being very close to the vest with if Noel will be playing this game or when he's coming back. It's clearly, I believe it's disciplinary. So it's not an injury or anything holding him back. Like you mentioned, the Trojans were unconscious against UTA. They were 16 for 28 from three in 2 games. That's ridiculous. This team does not shoot a lot of threes. So if they're going to be on fire, it's tough to beat. Like you said, Jim, Guay coming back is huge for Louisiana, especially against Manyang for Little Rock, one of the best players in the Sun Belt. Having him back in the lineup is big. I do think Louisiana has success turning Little Rock over, especially without Noel, despite what Marlon says that Noel's kind of a walking turnover. I don't believe that as much. So I do lean Louisiana as well. This spread's also come down a little bit. I think it's only at 2. Probably would stay away at that number, Matt.
Yeah, you guys, the Gee return for Louisiana is huge. I think it's actually pronounced Doogie based on Marlon's pronunciation. Yeah, I usually don't play name police, but I will try that head on today.
Listen to an interview with the coach, by all means.
Really high quality interview, by the way. Great nuggets there. I would lean Cajuns, but I'm just kind of waiting for them to get fully healthy. I believe Russell's playing with a turf toe. Their best player, highest usage guy, so they're a little bit fragile. But I would lean that direction. All right, our second Sun Belt showdown here. South Alabama at Coastal Carolina. In my opinion, 2 teams with sneaky good talent here. The difference is one is much deeper than the other. And the Jaguars are dealing with some injuries right now. Jim, I believe you highlighted a few of those last night. Do you think those play a big factor today?
Yeah, I might have considered South Alabama here, but they had 6 healthy scholarship players last game. And that's really tough with the way the schedule is, going back-to-back and playing 2 games in 2 days. Tyreek LaCure was out. He's been awesome for them this year. And then David Walker hasn't played in a while. And that's on top of a bunch of injuries and opt-outs that they had to start the year. So they've it's delicate with South Alabama. I think their A game is still really good, but they could fade fast, and we've had bad luck with that lately. And Coastal Carolina, without Tyreek Dixon on their side, they've been okay without him and have decent depth at the point guard spot. So again, the main slate of games we've got here, I don't have any strong plays, but I lean towards South Alabama, if anything, here.
I think Coastal's a pretty good team this year. Tyreek Dixon's been out most of the season, but Devontae Jones is a stud. He's a Sun Belt Player of the Year contender. They threw a haymaker at Georgia State, beating them by 12 before they lost game 2. I can't figure South Alabama out. It's true they're hurt, but they still have talent. Michael Flowers, their leading scorer, their do-everything point guard from Western Michigan. Yeah. He's a very good player. They lost to Alabama A&M and Jacksonville State, but they also beat Georgia Southern by 100. It's just one of those volatile teams you don't like putting money on. With their injuries, I actually lean Coastal, who should have a big advantage on the offensive glass. But it is a stay away of stayaways for me, Matt.
Good. No, I'm just reading the chat right now. I see Ryan Abramowitz pointing out that Nola is projected to play but not start. If that's in fact true, that's obviously noteworthy for the Little Rock.
I'm shocked that someone got that answer out of Darrell Walker. Considering
his quotes were so cryptic. Yeah. It's not an injury there. He's in the doghouse, essentially. So it's like a
no player's bigger than the program was the quote.
And no member of this organization is bigger than the 3-man weave collective. Is it time to get to best bets, or do we do a chat mob break beforehand?
Go best bets. We have a long list. We're going to have to quick hit the chat mob.
All right, Kai, knock it out.
All right, guys. I'm going UC Irvine for my best bet. They're playing UC San Diego, one of the new teams to D1. Loved it at 2. Still love it at 3 if you can get it. Now, guys, I am 0-2 against brand new teams making their debuts. So,
are you? Oh, wow.
Yes, I bet against Tarleton State and Dixie State, but I believe Irvine, this should be their game. San Diego is not a bad team. They will be good. However, it's their first ever D1 game. More importantly, they have guys out. Tyrell Roberts, Merrick Sullivan, both opted out of the season, both projected starters. We don't believe that's been reflected yet in their line. Ken Pom probably has them a little inflated. So I love Irvine here. Again, -2, -3, whatever you can find it at now.
Yeah, Roberts was a D2 All-American last year, like almost a 20-point-a-game scorer, made like 110 threes, instrumental to their system.
Shot 45%. I mean, the guy he's going to be a mid-major star when he makes his debut. I think he'll play next year. He's going to be a household name. But he's not here.
I'm joining on Irvine here.
I am too. Jim, take it away.
All right, me. Yeah, I'm going to Grand Canyon and Tarleton State here in the WAC. I'm taking Grand Canyon, the favorite. Let me double check the spread real quick before I give out the number. Yep, 10 is still widely available. Love that. I think they just destroy Tarleton inside. Tarleton hasn't played in a month. Now, Grand Canyon also, granted, coming off their own little shutdown, but I think they're just too good. They're a little undervalued in the market because of some late runs against them in games, but I'm very comfortable with them here. I think they dominate the glass. They score inside at will. Give me the Antelopes.
Again, Maddie leans that direction. Just too shook from last night to make that an official play for me. I actually have, I think, only 2 official plays endorsing Kai's Irvine selection, but my own, the Mastodons, as Jim teased earlier. I will be going with Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, whatever the hell they're calling that school now. They've changed the name, it seems like 10 times.
The Indiana is gone. It's just Purdue, Fort Wayne.
Just Purdue, Fort Wayne? Okay. Yeah. As an Indiana alumnus, that hurts me, but I will get over it and still back them tonight. Classic situation in conference where you have a 1-5 team versus a 2-0 team. Slight motivational factor. UIC, a little bit of 3-point regression. The variance monster, as we like to call him, is coming for the Flames. Teams shooting 19% from long distance against them. Luke Yaklich, phenomenal defensive guru, but I just don't think that's sustainable. If Fort Wayne's good, they're finally healthy now. Jared Godfrey is doing a little bit of a John Conchar light impression, a stat sheet stuffer. I think they're the right side tonight. So I will lock that in at anything or better than -1. I think I'm getting +1 right now, or is that a pick?
For Fort Wayne?
For Fort Wayne.
You're getting +2.5 or +3? You must be thinking
I thought it came down. No, I thought it came down a little bit. Okay, good. Yeah, I love that then. It did open at 2, right? It got pushed up to 3. Okay, yeah, then +3.
+3. There you go.
I love when the value comes back my direction. All right, chat mob, let's hit him, Jim.
All right, we got to fly through these because I have a list from A to P right now. Holy cow!
A to P, Jim. You use letters?
Well, I'm in a Word document, so what are you gonna do? I won't go into my behind the scenes thing. Ryan Dearden asked about Bryant, Central Connecticut State. Kai, what do you got?
Yeah, right. I was on Central Connecticut a little bit yesterday. I watched that game. Bryant is tiers above that team. I mean, tiers. It's not close.
Yeah, I lean towards Bryant as well. Paul Gibson, Jacksonville, North Florida, the River City Rumble, one of the best named rivalries in the country. I lean towards the home team, Jacksonville, but the line's pretty close to pick right now, so you're basically just picking the winner. Lean towards them, but nothing strong. I don't think Carter Hendrickson's back for North Florida yet.
Yeah, Jacksonville, I think, has their Dontarius James may have missed last game. I could be off a game there. A key Xavier transfer, very versatile, so you got to make sure you check on him.
Yep. Jim Bean asked about Long Beach State and Fullerton, 2 teams that have kind of haven't played a ton yet because of their own COVID shutdowns. I have nothing here. Either of you have a lean?
I would lean Long Beach. Fullerton was down a key guy last game. I think the Beach actually has some talent as discombobulated as they play.
I had a lean towards the under, but that's really it.
Okay. Stinky's Pig asked about North Texas at UTSA. I'm going to check on the line in this one because I might add this. 6.5. I will take North Texas -6.5. I think there's something very wrong with UTSA, and McCaslin's boys are going to be fine. They're coming off a tough last-second scheduled game at Loyola Chicago. Now starting conference play. I'll take the Mean Green.
Yeah, they're a good basketball team. A little struggled to score so far, but look who they've played. I mean, that's been a brutal schedule.
Yep, and UTSA plays no defense, so that's
they
good.
don't. They don't.
Eman Cash and several others asked about Milwaukee versus IUPUI. I believe this one, someone said it was on ESPN during the day today, so might actually get some primetime shine for them. I lean towards Milwaukee. I think IUPUI is kind of bad, to be quite honest, but I think Milwaukee's coming off a COVID shutdown, so I wouldn't get too crazy with it.
Yeah, I lean under in this game as well, Jim. I agree. IUPUI doesn't inspire much confidence.
Ducky Racing asked about Liberty Kennesaw. This is a plug your nose, close your eyes, and take the dog for me, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, 20 points is a little too high. So small play on Kennesaw for me.
Liberty beat the tar out of this team last year twice. They actually have talent. They're healthy this year. I think Kennesaw actually competes. I really do.
We'll see. Louis Govea asked about UTEP and Rice. I got nothing there. Maybe a lean to UTEP. Kai?
I like UTEP. Rice has actually proved me wrong a couple times. I still think they're pretty bad, and UTEP has been very good this season. Matt, your boys, you love UTEP.
I like the Niners. They got my boy Christian Agnew back in the fold. Price is too high, but I would certainly lean that direction. Maybe a first half play could be appealing.
Yeah.
Luke Putnam asked about actually another one I like and might add. Oh boy, am I going to end up with 5 plays here? Lipscomb at Bellarmine. I can't.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
third play for me as well.
That Lipscomb is an underdog in this one. I think they're undervalued because they didn't have KJ Johnson to start the year. Bellarmine coming off a COVID shutdown, haven't played a D1 game in quite a while. Lipscomb's just better. I'm going to take them plus 1.5, plus 2. I'm seeing more plus 2 than 1.5. So Lipscomb plus 2.
I like Lipscomb too, plus 2.
Buy all the lipstick stock you can find. It's going to surge. I am on Lipscomb as well. So that's my third play. Have fun.
All right. Oakland and Green Bay, asked Julian Cesario. I liked Oakland as a dog, but they have now swung to a favorite, so I have nothing to recommend here.
Yeah, line's gotten too much, or it got away from us. Yeah, I mean, I think Oakland's the jig is up in Oakland. People realize they're actually good after the kind of weird start.
Yep. Paul Gibson asked if we're going back to the St. Francis Brooklyn. Well, I'm not with them as a favorite, and that first half kind of scared me yesterday. They got dominated on the glass. I'm going to leave that one alone after they had their nice second half rally, the only second half rally in our favor yesterday.
Yeah, that was nice. The NEC flip-flop's been pretty extreme. So in general, if you like the team that did not play well or lost the day before, take them the second day. So I can't play this one.
Regis Austin asked about Boise State and Air Force. Does Boise State kill them again? They were ahead like 25 most of the second half, ended up only winning by 19, but I would lean towards Boise State again. Air Force got blown out twice by Utah State. Honestly, Boise State cares. They win this game by a ton. That's really what matters.
Line's insane, but Boise State's defense is suffocating. So I don't know. It's Air Force or nothing for me.
Yeah. Another Paul Gibson question, Manhattan and Quinnipiac. I lean towards Manhattan, but you have to make sure that Samir Stewart and Samba Diallo are in the lineup. They were day-to-day after the Delaware State game last time, and they have looked awful without Stewart. He's one of their main shot creators, so you got to check on that if you're going to bet that game.
You cannot bet Manhattan without Samir Stewart in the lineup. They will not score the basketball.
Yep. David Kuznets asked about South Dakota State, Western Illinois. I mentioned in the chat earlier to Porter Moser Porter that Doug Wilson was out due to COVID-related issues in their non-D1 game. Noah Friedel was suspended because he got ejected from the prior game. Henderson was kind of coy about whether they're going to play. I would guess that they do. I lean towards the Jackrabbits here as a big favorite, but nothing strong there.
Yep, me too, Jim. I think they're going to kill him.
All right, I got 3 more. I think we've had a couple more come through, but honestly, there's just too many games, and we're going to hit these last.
Chatter is hot. Wow.
With it. Yeah. Wow. Corey Boatman asked about Northern Kentucky and Cleveland State. I have nothing here, but Kai, I think you think maybe the wrong team's favored, possibly.
Yeah, Jim, but I've been kind of a North guy all year, and I've raised Cleveland State a fair amount. I like Northern Kentucky as a dog. I believe they'll turn it around their early season struggles. Yeah, Northern Kentucky for me.
All right, Doug Olmstead asked about Cal Baptist, Utah Valley. Going to you on this one, Matthew. I think maybe you at least read a bunch of Madsen quotes, so you're informed on the Wolverines.
Yeah, Utah Valley had all hands on deck for the first time, I believe, the last 2 games. Evan Cole's really emerged as a weapon. Georgia Tech transfer. They basically took Utah to the wire. They've been pretty solid. I think the line's been bet up, though, out of range for me. If it came back down to 2 or -1, I'd hop in, but -3 is too high.
All right, last one. There's been a lot of chatter, like I said. The last one I have listed. Jim Bean asked about Southern Mississippi, headed to UAB. UAB out of a COVID shutdown. I keep saying that I think they're overvalued, but it hasn't been great spots to bet them. Southern Miss kind of stinks and might struggle to score. I lean towards the Golden Eagles, but not strong enough to take them against UAB, has been a cover machine.
Yep, agree, Jim.
All right, Utah State covering against New Mexico, probably. New Mexico stinks.
Mexico's awful. Terrible.
All right, boys.
Yep, that's about it. Matthew, wrap us up.
Gotta cut it off, Jim. I know hey, folks, we'll get to your questions on Monday. It's the weekend. I know. A 2-day hiatus until you see our beautiful faces again. Again, make sure to subscribe, like, SBRpicks.com/NCAAB, SBR odds page, line shop, value is king. That first half full game split, keep that in mind as you make your bets this weekend. We will see you back on Monday. Take care.